8.9. I will warn you, on Khan Academy, there's not really good lessons for this. I'm going to keep searching to see if I can find better ones, but we're going to do our best with what we got. So warm up real quick. This is a state question if you haven't caught onto the pattern. This is the equation. And let's just go over some features to kind of review what we've done. If I asked you what this is, you'd tell me that's the vertex, and the vertex is 1, 2, 2, 4. And if I ask you if it's opening up or down, you would tell me it's opening down. And if I asked you if it's min or max, you'd say it's a max. Okay, now some of the terms we're going to talk about here in a little bit, we haven't really gone over, but it's possible. The other thing I want to ask you are what are the solutions or the zeros? And you would tell me it's x equals 0 right here and 4. Wow, that's a really bad brace. Okay, so let's go with what, and yeah, this does fit. Okay, what we can agree with. So f, they're just saying the graph is increasing when x is greater than 0. Well, it's increasing here, so I'm going to highlight this. If I asked you where it's increasing, let's make it green, we, I think, should agree that it's increasing from here to here, okay? But it's decreasing, let's make it blue, from here to here, okay? Now, when you're doing that, you're looking at the y values, but the x values are your independent, so the x values are how you, like, name it, where it's increasing and decreasing. Let's go with that, name it, okay? So f is increasing from when x is greater than 0 until it gets to here, so not true. And then it's decreasing when it's less than 0. Well, less than 0, it is decreasing, and it's going to keep decreasing, so that's good. That's right. Actually, I'm going to highlight. I'm really big into highlighting lately. Wow, that's bad. Okay. F is increasing on the interval from 0, x value of 0, to 2. And that's true. It's increasing right here. Okay, green is increasing. So agree with that. F is decreasing on the interval of 0 to 2. Well, we just said it was increasing, so that's a no. All right, so F is increasing on the interval from 2 to 4. Well, we said that was decreasing. So F is correct. Wow, I really can't do this. I just really can't go horizontally on this very well. Where's my pen? Okay. So we said it was decreasing there, so it's definitely not increasing. And then it says F is increasing on the interval from x is less or greater than 4. So from here and to the right. Well, that's decreasing, so it's not increasing, it's decreasing. Okay? So that is that question. Good question to review and to work on some information we haven't really talked about, but you kind of should understand it. Okay, so we're going to do some area problems and some consecutive number problems. I'm going to do this video all at once, just because I just think it's easier. There's not that many examples, and I think we can go through these pretty quickly. Also because I think it's just easier for us to upload. Or for me to upload. I'm thinking to myself, I won't lie there. All right, so let's go over this information. It says, find the value of x. So that's what we're going to do. If the area of the rectangle is 78 square meters. So if we remember, area of a rectangle is area equals base times height or length times width. Okay, so base and height, length and width, doesn't matter which one. So we're going with length and width, or base and height, doesn't matter. It would be x and x plus 7. X and x plus 7. And it says that the area is 78, so we're really going to fill it out. Now we need to solve for x. And there is a rule called the zero product property that we learned earlier, where you can set each factor equal to 0. Well, this has to be equal to 0. That's 78. So we have to do a little bit of math. So here we're going to distribute the x's. So we have x squared and 7x, and we need this at equal to 0 and the x squared positive. So we're going to subtract the 78 over. Remember, if I'm moving too quick, you can pause the video, okay? And then we've learned so many different ways to solve this, but factoring should always be the first one. I would say factor and then quadratic, okay? The square root method is a different case. So we'll talk about that later. So we need to find the factors of 78 that give you 7. Go figure, I don't have my calculator out. And I don't know the factors of 78 off the top of my head. So 78 divided by 2 is 39. So we have 1 and 78, 2 and 39. 78 divided by 3 won't work. Oh, I lied, it does. It's 26. Still doesn't give you 7, so I'm crossing those out, not an option. 78 divided by 4 is 19 and a half. 78 divided by 5 won't work. Divided by 6, and it's 13. And what's the difference between 13 and 6? 7. So this is our factors. And I'm running out of room, so I need to extend the page. Okay, so moving down here. So we have x and x. What are our values? Well, this is negative, so which means I have one negative, one positive. If this last term is negative, the term in front will tell you what the bigger factor is. And the bigger factor is 13, and so it'll be positive, and then 6. And then I always make a little table, and we set each factor equal to 0. So x minus 6 equals 0, x plus 13 equals 0. So if you add the 6, you get 6, and if you subtract the 13, you get negative 13. It's adding, right? Well, let's talk about length. Length cannot be, or width, how about this? Distance of something. Distance cannot be what value? It cannot be negative. It cannot be negative, all right? You can't have a negative distance of something. You can go backwards, but you can't have a negative distance, especially when you're talking about area. So because of that, we'll actually make this red. This answer is not possible because it's negative. So the question asks, let's make sure we always answer the question. Okay, is it still red? Oh, why is it doing this to me? Okay, so it says find the value of x. So all you have to do is find the value of x. So x equals 6. Done. Okay, so we did that question. Moving on to the next question, next page. Okay, so it's really simple. I'm gonna make a rectangle just so you can visually see this. Okay. And this problem is gonna set up, actually we'll just do it, it's fine. We're just gonna do it. Okay, so dimensions of a rectangle are x plus 3 and x minus 8. Doesn't matter which one it is, promise. And it says the area. So once again, area equals base times height. This is way too thick. And it says that the area of it is 60 square inches, and all you have to do is find the x. I'm going to change this one up, and I'm going to say what are the dimensions. So what are the dimensions? I actually want you to find that for me. Okay, so area is 60. We have x plus 3 and x minus 8. Okay. And what's annoying about this problem is you have to FOIL this out. So I'm actually going to do it over here because I'm going to save room. I always call this side work. And I don't want to write it within my problem. So there's actually a quicker way to do this, and it's just doing the backwards thinking of factoring. So I know I multiply the x's together when I get x squared. But what happens if you add 3 and negative 8? Well, you get negative 5x. And if you multiply 3 and negative 8, you get negative 24. So that's actually it factored. And I'm just going to prove it really quick. X and x gets you x squared. X and negative 8 gives you negative 8x. That will give you 3x when you multiply it to the x. And that gives you negative 24. And voila, there's the answer. So if you add these, it only works, by the way, if it's just x with a coefficient of 1. If you add these terms, you get the middle term. If you multiply, you get the negative. And that's just us factoring. We did this. All right, so we have 60 equals x squared minus 5x, and I just clicked that. Oops. 5x minus 24. Okay. Any guess of what your next step is? I really just want to drink a coffee. All right. Oh, I made a good cup today. Good. I'm not very good at making coffee. You're going to subtract the 60, right? Because you have to set it equal to 0. So we have x squared minus 5x, and 60, my bad, not 64, 24 and 60 give you 84, but it's negative 84. So when we factor, we're going to find the factors of 84 that give me 5, but because that's negative, I want a negative and a positive. So factors of 84. Obviously 1 and 84. Divide it by 2 and you get 42, which is not going to work, so these are pointless. 84 divided by 3 is 28. Also not helpful. 84 divided by 4, 21. Also not helpful. I'm just going to keep writing even though it's right in this problem. Actually, no, I'm not. I'll write it over here. 84 divided by 5 is not a thing, so divided by 6, and you get 14. And if we do 14 minus 6, that's 8, so it's still not working. 84 divided by 7. Oh, that is a thing. Huh. And that's 12, and that is your answer. Remember, this is negative. The sign in front tells you the bigger factor. So the bigger factor is 12, so it's x minus 12 and x plus 7. So what we do is we're going to set those equal to each other, or equal to, oops, I got a text message and my sound's on. I'm not very popular, so this doesn't happen very often. Don't worry, it's just Miss Holtzberry. You get x minus 12 equals 0, which gets you x equals 12 when you add that 12 over. And we'd have x plus 7 equals 0. Well, you're going to subtract that. We'll get you a negative value. So that is not an answer. So 12 is our x, but I actually want you to find the dimensions. So how do you find that? Well, you plug it into here. So you get 12 plus 3, which is obviously 15, and you plug 12 into here, which gives you 4. So this is a 4 by 15, and it says square inches. Okay, awesome. Moving on to the next problem. So a square is altered so that one dimension is increased by 5 and the other dimension is increased by 2. So let's just visually look at this. Okay, so square, okay, and then it's being altered. So it's being increased by 5. So let's say this is increased and it's decreased by 2. So it kind of looks like this. I wonder if I can change that color. No, that doesn't seem fun. No, I'm just not feeling these colors. Oh, whatever. Let's just go with that green. Okay. All right. So this is what happens. So it wants to know if the area of the resulting rectangle is 98, then what was the square? All right. So now if we talk about this is, actually, I'm going to kind of separate this out. So this is how it changed. Okay. I'm going to separate them so you can see better what I'm about to write. We know with the square that it's going to be the same side times the same side. So let's just say it was x, because we don't know what the length is, right? We just know all these sides are equal, so the area is going to be x times x. But then it changed, and it said that the one shrunk by 2, so this is the side that it made shrink, and then this is the side that it increased by 5. So that's exactly what we just did. So we increased it by 5, which gave us the plus 5, and decreased by 2, which gave us the minus 2. And we're given the area of the rectangle is 98. So we end up with 98 equals x minus 2 and x plus 5. Now I'm going to set you up, and then I want you to do the rest of it and figure it out. Now if you remember when I showed you up here, that little trick, if you don't get it, then you need to, I really would like for you to still show me work, but I would like you to think of the trick. So it's x squared always, as long as these are 1s. It's different if you do that, anything else. 5 and negative 2, so negative 2 plus 5 is positive 3x, and negative 2 and 5 multiplied together is negative 10. And that's because you'd have x squared plus 5x minus 2x minus 10. Voila, that's it. So you have 98 equals x squared plus 3x minus 10. All right, I would like for you to do the rest of the problem. Remember that you have to subtract this 98 over, and I want you to find the value of x. And then we'll find the value of x, and then we'll find the area of the original square. So go ahead and pause the video now. All right, now that you brought the video up, we have, you're going to take the 98 over because you need to get it set equal to 0, and we have to keep that x squared positive to factor. And when you do that, you get negative 108. So we're getting some big numbers here. So factors of 108 is 108 and 1, which is pointless. We divide that by 2, and that gets us 54, and that's still pointless because it's never going to get to 3. 108 divided by 3 is 36. Still not working for us. Doesn't get us 3. 108 divided by 4 is 27. Still not getting us to 3. 108 divided by 5 is not a thing, so we're divided by 6. And that gets you 18, but the difference is 12, so pointless. 108 divided by 7, not a thing. 108 divided by 8, 13.5, not a thing. 108 divided by 9 is 12, and the difference there is 3. So that's what you're going to use. All right. So we have a negative and we have a positive, and that's because of this negative, and negative times a positive is a negative. We look at the sign up front to tell us what the bigger factor is. The bigger factor is 12, and it's going to be positive, and the 9 is going to be negative. We set them equal to 0, so x minus 9 equals 0, and x plus 12 equals 0. That will give you x equals 9, and this will give you negative 12, so that is not an answer. So x equals 9, they want to find the area of the original square. That's what we're trying to do. Well, to find the area of a square, hence why it's called perfect square, when you square things, it's going to be x times x, because of this right here, which is really the same thing as x squared. So we have 9 squared, so the original area is 81, and we have to look at this inches squared. All right, so that is area. Not too bad, just kind of doing a little bit of stuff that we've done before and kind of using quadratics in a different way. All right, so now we're going to do the product or the consecutive numbers. And we actually have already done something like this without realizing it. So not too bad. Now we're just going to make it a little bit more difficult. And I did warn you of this. When we did consecutive numbers in the beginning of the year, I did say, hey, we're probably going to be doing something a little bit more complicated, okay? So I'm going to erase this and get it out of the way. And then I'm probably going to set up only one problem. Like I probably will solve like 2, but not solve all 3. I don't know. Just because I don't think I need to go over the solving part since we've already done that. All right. So let's go over some keywords. We have product of 2 positive consecutive integers equaling 56. So we have to remember that product means multiplication, right? So we're multiplying something. 2 positive, the positive is just saying that we're not dealing with negative numbers, consecutive integers. So let's make x our first number. Well, if it's consecutive, what happens? Well, say if our first number was 1, the next number would be 2. So what happened there? You added 1. So x plus 1 would be the second number, okay? And then we set it up just like we were doing before. So you have the product of 2 positive integers, so x and x plus 1, and I didn't need to put that in parentheses, so I don't know why I did. X and x plus 1 are being multiplied, and it's equaling 56. Well, doesn't that look a lot like what we were doing? It does, all right? So here you're going to distribute, and that gives you x squared plus x equaling 56. You need to subtract that 56 over. I'm writing it once because I'm lazy. And it equals 0. So then we're going to go through and find the factors of 56. So 1 and 56, we're trying to get to 1. So we have 2 numbers that are right next to each other. Some of you might have already figured it out. That's fine. 56 divided by 2 is 28. I don't remember if we can divide it by 3. Nope. 56 divided by 4 is 14. 5 is not possible. 56 divided by 6 doesn't work. 56 divided by 7 does. And hello, that's our answer because there's 1 away. So these are the same type of factors we're doing every time, because these numbers keep coming out negative. Negative number, then in front tells you the bigger factor. Bigger factor is positive. This one's negative. Okay, so if we set this equal to 0, x minus 7 equals to 0, you get 7. And then plus 8 gets you negative 8. So that's not an answer. So find the integers. Our numbers are 7, and the next number, because it's consecutive, is 8. And that's our answer. All right, I'm going to set up number 5, but I'm not going to actually solve it. We're going to set up 6 and actually solve it. So once again, the product of 2 positive consecutive integers, even, even, threw that number in there, that thing in there, even integers is 80. Okay, So we've talked about this before with even and odd. Okay, so I'm going to make a note here. Consecutive numbers, if they're not saying odd or even, you're going to deal with x, and then the next digit would be x plus 1. But if it's even or odd, wow, that's bad. Numbers, the question is, what do you use? Well, x would be the first one, so number 1 will be x. What would be the second consecutive even number? So let's say if I have the even number of 2, 4 is next, right? Well, what happens from 2 to 4? Well, you add 2. Now, if I was odd numbers, let's say we had 3 and then 5, remember that adds 2 as well. So anytime it's an even or odd number, you're going to have x and x plus 2. So I would highlight that, box that, star that, whatever you need to do. I'm going to put it right here. Okay, important information. Okay. So x and x plus 2, because it's even, and we're just going to set this up. It's the product of two positive even integers, so right there, multiplying them, which means equals 80. So you would distribute, and you would subtract this 80 over, and you would factor and solve. Okay, so I'm not finishing the problem, just how I'm doing it, because I don't think I need to go over how to do this again, since we just did it 4 other times. Okay, so the next problem says find 2 positive consecutive odd integers. Wow, I really can't go that way. Such that we have more. The square of the first added to 3 times the second is 24. All right, what in the world does that mean? What does it mean? Okay, so let's just talk about the first and second number. Let's just take care of this part. So I'm not going to do anything with that. I'm breaking it right there. I highlighted it. Didn't mean to do that. Oops, or I made a line. Didn't mean to do that. So I'm just going to deal with this first highlighted part. So number 1 and number 2. My first consecutive odd integers. Well, right here I said the first number is x and the second number is x plus 2. Because if you have an odd number, 3 to 5, you add 2. If you have 7, you add 2, so forth. Okay, such that the square of the first. So square of the first means you're literally going to take that first number and you're going to square it. So x squared, right? You can put it in parentheses, but there's not needed to. Added to, so we're adding, to 3 times the second number. So 3 times x plus 2. Added to 3 times the second. So the second is right here, and it's saying it equals 24. So we have a little bit more math going on. The x squared just drops down. The 3 is in front of the parentheses, so we have to distribute it. And we get 3x plus 6 equaling 24. And from here, it should look kind of similar to what we did. The only thing you have to do is set it equal to 0, and keeping the x squared positive. So you have x squared plus 3x, and then you have 6 minus 24. Hopefully we know what that is. What is it? Negative 18, good. And we're going to find the factors of 18. So 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. Well, 3 and 6, right on the sad face, will get you 3. So I'm going to move this up here. So the factors, this thing just isn't keeping up, huh? The last term is negative, so it means I have to have a negative and I have to have a positive equaling to 0. And the larger factor is positive because of that sign in front. So I have a 6 here and a 3 here. I always like to make a table when I can of this, just to organize my thoughts. X minus 3 equals 0, so x equals 3. And this is already an even number, so right away we should see that there's an issue, but I'm just going to solve it. Not only is it even, which isn't working, it's also negative, not working. So your first number is 3, the next odd number would be 5, which is coincidence that I wrote it up here. All right, that is it for your notes. Hopefully that makes sense. Get a hold of me if it doesn't. Stay safe, stay healthy. See ya.